Hello, this is a story about the making of the Frog River. I'm a watercolor artist and illustrator. I illustrated the Frog River as a children's book, and the Frog River is a story designed for language teaching and learning. So before we started, I'm going to show you a short video clip of the Frog River so we can get a better sense of what the illustrations look like and what the story look like.
River, swift and wide, frogs, Jack and Mark reside. Jack was bold and full of pride. Mark was cautious, never loved. One bright morning, the sun swam low. A red kangaroo hopped to and fro. Is it safe to cross? He asked with cheer. Jack said, yes, dive right in. Have no fear. But Mark shook his head, his voice full of dread. The current's too strong, you will be swept. Not heeding the warning, proud kangaroo left, only to find that his legs were inept. Later that day, a small possum drew near. Is it safe to cross the river, I fear? Mark said it's too risky, please stay away. But Jack said with a beam, you'll be okay.
So to watch the whole video and the full text of the Frog River, please scan the QR code and visit it through Lotsworth Studios. As a credible project, the Frog River is designed for better teaching and learning materials, and is also alongside with a lot of good information in the story. So I'm going to start from the planning stage of making the Frog River. The whole planning is actually based from some linguistics analysis. So by looking at the whole text as the discourse level of the Frog River, we find there's orientations and codas which are relatively independent through the whole story, but complications and resolutions are more connected with each other. So that means they need more cohesion between each other with shifts. So from the narrative genre, I pick up event time as the key points for me to unfold the stories as activity sequence. We have morning, later that day, platypus rise, I set it as sunset to suggest the time moves, and then evening. So the structure of the visual storytelling is alongside to the narrative genre. And later we look at the second level and also smaller units of the text, which are faces and expressions, then is referred to stanzas and elements in the story. So in each stanza, there's actually shared elements, which are circumstances, participants, and process. So by using all these elements, it helped me have the first draft of the storyboard. I positioned the participants in the image, in the scene, in the circumstance, and also try to demonstrate the movements happened. And now we move on to the designing and making process. So instead of focusing the language itself, I think about the language of the Frog River as the meaning making process. Then how am I going to create the meaning through visual approach? That's the question that lead me to develop different strategies of the design and the making of the Frog River. So first is the space management. You can see here is a big image instead of two separate ones. I call it cross page. So I use the cross page to set up the scene at each first four line of each complication or resolution. So that helps to set up the scene to bring all the participants into the circumstance, and also that gives more information of the bright morning. So all the colors, the tones are consistent with the bright morning, which is like a warm and subtle tone. And then later I break it down into two divided images like that can suggest more movement, more change, and show a more dynamic image of how the story is happening. So now we have more close-up things to show how Kanga laughed, how Mark shook his head, and how Kanga's legs were in that. And the second strategy I use is positioning. So I position the animals in the scene on purpose. Like at the early complications of the story, Jack and Mark always have different ideas like arguments and divisions. So I position them always on the different sides of the river. And you will find Jack, which is the full of pride, the overconfident one, because he sort of lead a conversation, like they lead the decision made by the crossing animal. So I put him in front of the image to suggest he leads and dominate the discourse. But after the imbalancing position, I bring them together because communication and collaboration started to happen. And I even reposition them, like you can see in scene 4, Mark swim in front of the image instead of Jack always standing in front. So that's also like the information carried out by the text. So I'm trying to present it through the illustrations. And the second, the third strategy I use is character design. I apply a lot of body language to suggest the different characteristics and personalities they have. Like for Jack, he's bold and full of pride. So he's always feeling more relaxed and tend to open his body more. That's like a sort of touch you can feel through the body that also help in some activities like role plays and the teaching learning material design. But for Mark, because he's cautious and never lying, so he's like always a bit more nervous, a bit more tense. So he's more tend to present a small body that's a bit more squeezed and have more tense between his muscles. So that engage the touch as another sensory system beyond sight. And the fourth strategy I used was to include local creatures because the story of the Frog River is inspired from an Aboriginal elder from far north Queensland. So that actually suggests the geographic background of the story. I include all these local creatures like crocodiles, mud crabs, cassowaries, and the snake. They're hiding in different scenes. So that can also be an activity kids can do, and is integrated with geographical information of where the story comes from. And also mangrove trees being showed in a lot of pages of the book. And mangrove trees is like a special kind of trees that growing in the tropical area, and they have a lot of like roots trying to dig at like a snorkel out from the earth that then to like a breathe and have more air, but actually internally they're connected. So that's also sort of metaphor I use to suggest the core information of the story, which is unity and love. And then the fifth strategy I use is color. So the color turn is like a shift from scene to scene. It doesn't only suggest the shift of time, it also suggests the shift of emotional feeling. Like in the morning is more relaxing, and then the middays become more burning and vivid, and sunset the color gets rich, and there's like a more contrast between light and dark that also make the reflection clear, and then the evening become like a back to harmony and like a peaceful. And the last strategy I use is the waves and splashes. They actually suggest the sound nature of the text itself because it's designed with rhythm and like a paces. So you might find this like a changes of how I present the waves that suggest the change of the rhythm and rhymes of the language. And now the last part is the implementation. Because the illustration is designed based on meaning, so that enables multilingual like a translations work more effectively. So all the elements are not translated in specific sequence. They might be placed in the other areas, but the image doesn't suggest sequences in a sentence, but they suggest all the elements and the relationships between them, so that actually help the other translations work effectively. And also that helps the education material designers to design more activities that can engage more sensory systems and can make use of the illustrations to increase the kids' engagement. So that's the end of this video. Thank you for listening.